is the first time I'm doing something like this. So let's just do it. Usually when I edit, I start with a concept and then just try to execute it as best as I can. When I edit, I like to get like a general idea of how I want the edit to like turn out, so then I can have a base for how I want it to, how I want to go about making the edit. For my Unholy Host edit, I really wanted to like emphasize her crazy way of hunting and stuff, which is reflected with the song choice I had and just multiple clips just showing off her crazy side. And that's how I also go about like fixing my edits afterwards, like after I do my first draft and whatnot. That's how I like revise my edits. For this edit, I kind of want like a more chill vibe, like not really aggressive, not really laid back either. Just want it to flow very well and have some personality to it, I guess. Today I'll be editing Miss Fortune because I'm kind of behind on my edits. So, yeah, I will not be playing the audio because I do not want to get copyrighted. This video will just basically be just like a guide of how I do my edits and just the process. I start off with, I get my footage from Scorells itself and then put it in CapCut and then find my audio. First, I start by getting all the clips that I want from my footage. Once I do that and then like fit everything together, then I like crop that. So I'll start with the intro and then work my way with other effects and stuff. So let me get the beats for my audio so now I can sync it up with the actual footage. This is bones, but we'll make it work. So those beats are kind of useless, but I guess I'll just have to use like every other beat to make it work. So now it's time to get the footage for start of the edit, which I hate doing, but I'll do it anyways. I'm feeling pretty lazy, so I'll just use like her intro as the intro to the edit because I don't know. For now, this will do, and then I'll look at it later and see if it needs fixing. Crop that, and then now it's time for like a transition period into like the actual edit. Loki don't know what to use, but I'll figure it out. I'm gonna use her juggle and then kind of just sync it up to the actual beats. I do not have her new set unlocked and stuff, so I don't really have much to work with, but I'll try my best. I'll use her taunt to like get into the actual edit if I can find it. Now I'll probably do like maybe like zoom out or like a distortion to get into the actual edit. When I get to that point, to like the fun part in my opinion, when I start like actually making the edit, so to say, I can start making the impacts, I can start playing out. I'm not gonna like add any effects right now. I'm just gonna get the clips from everything and then seeing how they fit together, so then I can add the effects later. So I'll just start cropping out the parts that I really want for this big impact moment. This is usually where I try to save all the good parts from their character's moveset, so now I can just use it all at once and have the real big part of the edit stand out. I'm gonna have to like, slow down some of these parts, but it'll be fun. want to say like the way I go about making edits is not really complicated. It's just really time consuming, if anything. For like mediocre result in my opinion, but it is pretty basic though. So like if you want to get started with editing, this is just how I go about it. Simple and fairly easy. Color walking animation. I'm just gonna use her slide attack thingy. Oh, I have a plan for this afterwards that I think this will like work better for. Like I said before, my editing process isn't really complicated. It's just very nitpicky, I would say. Like just finding the fine details and trying to make sure everything is as perfect as I can make it. I'll have her tag out, and then that should be pretty much it. And then I'll just dupe everything I have for now, and then that should be the base of the edit. I'm just duping everything just to see how it fits together as an edit, and then I'll look for that. I also reduplicate to just cut down some time once I get the effects in and stuff. But this is just to see how the edit looks. It's looking good so far. It's just like a few nitpicky things I had to grind out basically. I have a base that I'm satisfied with. I'm just gonna go in and crop all my clips so that I can just have bigger emphasis on the character I'm making the edit of. This is the most annoying part of making edits for me, but it does help like clean it up a lot and make it look more neater, so to say. But when I have like 40 plus clips, it, it's it's painful. This is also another reason why I decided to delete the clips and then reduplicate them after I'm done with everything. So then it just cuts down the amount of time I'm spending on the edit. With just the fine details. This also helps with keeping consistency across my clips so then it doesn't look, you know, weird in one clip or like just slightly off in one clip and not the other. Helps them stay organized and whatnot. That's done. I'm able to move on to essentially the most important part of my edit, which is the effects and transitions, which could take some time to do. I do have some effects that I have saved from older edits or just effects that I thought were cool when making other edits, so I just saved them for the future. But I usually try to find effects that fit with the theme that I'm trying to go for the edit. I do have Pro, but I don't pay money for it. I get free trials from CapCut. And this one looks interesting right here. I'd have to use some keyframes so then it's on Fortune or something. So I decided to use just vertical zooms. It's okay, I guess. It's really just like the speed, but it should work. It's just some minor adjustments I have to do. While I'm here, let me find an intro to use. This is like half my editing process, just scrolling through effects and stuff and just choosing whatever. This mono fade looks pretty well. Yeah, I think I'll just adjust the length. Now it's time for just, well, finishing the intro and then transition into the actual edit. What I usually like to do for my intros, I usually like the effects for the intro to be darker, so then when I go into like the big moment of the edit, it has more like brighter effects. That way it just emphasizes the big part of the edit, transition moment into the actual edit. It really helps with that, the transition and the effect that I use for that. Now it's time for the transition into the big spot of the edit, I guess, the main part. I said I would use something like a distortion or like a blur or something, so let's see what they have. This astral projection seems pretty decent, I guess. It kind of gives like impact, like a smoke effect that could work pretty well. So now I want lighter effects for this part of the edit, so then it just pops out a bit more. I'm done now. I wasn't gonna record all of that, but basically I got whatever this effect was called. I got jitter beat. I got jitter beat for the main edits, for the main clips of the edits, and then I got flashback for the transition from all those clips, and then I use the animation. I use fade out for a little at the end of each clip just to give it a bit more separation, so to say. And then I reduplicated everything again. So now the edit's basically done. So now all I need to do is just export it, because I have free trial of Pro. I can export it at higher quality. It looks better and just a bit cleaner. And this is gonna be like the first time I export it. This isn't the final edit that I'm gonna post. I might export it now and then change a few things about it later. You know, just a few nitpicks that I see from exporting it, and then I'll go back and fix those and export it again. It's just revising editing after this point. So now the edit's done. Pretty much. That took me like an hour and a half, but there was a few interruptions, and then I do work pretty slow, and I am pretty nitpicky when it comes to the small details and stuff. There's a lot of factors that could have added into that time, but yeah. That was my process of making one of my edits. If I had to, I guess, summarize this video, I would say, first off, I make a base for the edit where I add all my clips and then mash them up, put them together with the audio, and then make sure everything's in sync. And after that, I crop all my clips, make them look neat and stuff. And then afterwards, I add my effects, transitions, animations, anything to make the edit, look decent and stuff. That's how I would summarize my editing process. It's helped you in any way, good, I guess. Yeah.